Let's talk about simplifying algebraic expressions when it comes to terms. So we're going to start by identifying terms. We're also going to take a look at what are like terms, and then finally we're going to be combining those like terms. Let's start by identifying the terms of this expression here. I've got 3x squared plus 7 minus x plus 5x squared. Now, a term could be a constant. Constant is just another word for a number. It could also be a variable. Notice how it keeps that negative sign with it. Or it could be a product of numbers and variables together. Now I say product, but it could also be a quotient or a fraction of those. So that gives me the 3x squared and the 5x squared. So let's go ahead and list these terms. So in this expression, I've got a 3x squared, comma. The next term is that constant 7. It is positive 7, but I can just leave off the plus sign, comma. The next one is a negative x. I do need the negative along with that one. And then finally, I've got that last term, positive 5x squared, but I can just write that as 5x squared. Here comes the next expression. Can you identify the terms? Again, they can be either a single number, which is a constant, a variable, or a product of numbers and variables. Here's how I identified those. So we've got 4 different terms in this one. Let's go ahead and list those. So in this one, we have got a b cubed, so I've got b cubed, comma, a positive 4a squared b. Those are all multiplied together, so that is a term. And then I've got another positive a squared b, comma, and then finally that negative 5, and I do need that negative to go along with the 5. So in this next one, our instructions have changed just a little bit. We want to identify the like terms. In order to be a like term, our terms have to have the identical variable parts. So as I'm looking at this particular expression, we notice that the 2x squared and that x squared on the end have the identical variable part, x squared. So I've got 2x squared and x squared as the like terms. 7 is just a constant, and the negative x does not have that power 2. So I can combine these like terms. I'm just going to reorder it to start. That gives me a 2x squared plus an x squared. I still have that plus 7 and the negative x. Now what I really need to do is to add up the 2x squared and the x squared. I can think of this as having, I've got 2x squared in that first expression, in that first term. And in the second term, I've got a single x squared. So altogether, that gives me 3x squared. So I have 3x squared, and then I've got the 7, and I've got the x, and I have combined those like terms. I'm really counting up how many of each I've got. I've got 2 more examples. Let's go ahead and start with that first example. Can you identify the like terms? There are 2 different groups of like terms here, so let's see how you did. For this one, we've got a term. So I've got the 4a and the negative a. We also have b terms. They happen to be the same, but I've got a 2b and another 2b, and then I've got that negative 1 on the end. Let's go ahead and combine these. So I want to start by combining the a's. I'm just going to write those together. So I've got 4a minus a. Now I'm going to put a 1 out in front. We call the number out in front a coefficient, but it also helps me as I'm counting. Continuing with those like terms, I've got the plus 2b and another plus 2b, and then finally on the end, I've got that negative 1 that has nobody to match it with. Let's combine our like terms. Starting with our a terms, I just want to count these up. I had 4, I'm subtracting 1. 4 minus 1 is 3, so that gives me 3a for that first group. Next, I've got the 2b plus the 2b. So I've got 2 plus 2, adding those coefficients or the numbers out in front. 2 plus 2 is 4, and I want to record that sign. It's important, so I can separate these as terms. Okay, so not just 4b, but plus 4b. And then on the end, I've got that negative 1, and this is our simplified expression. Can you identify the like terms in this expression? Okay, so in this one, we've got some xy terms. So I've got a 2xy and a minus xy. I'm going to put a 1 out in front of that. So I've got a 2xy minus xy, or 1xy. And then I've got nothing else that combines. So I'm just going to write the rest of it on the end. So I've got a plus 3x. But the one on the end is a 2x squared. Because of that power 2, my variables are not exactly the same. So the only ones that I combine are my xy terms. So I had 2, I'm subtracting 1. That leaves me with one xy term. I still have my 3x, so plus 3x, and then that's an x, and then my 2x squared, so plus 2x squared. You don't need that 1 out in front, so you can get rid of the 1 out in front, or you can leave it. Either way, this is our simplified expression. You guys did so great. We're going to continue simplifying expressions with distribution next. Thanks so much for watching.